All right, welcome back to Squawk Box, everybody. The U.S. markets reacting today to President Trump's tariff plan that was announced yesterday afternoon. You can see right now the futures are off pretty sharply. Right now, declines of just over 1,100 for the Dow. S&P futures down by close to 190. The NASDAQ down by 730. If you're looking on percentage basis for all of these, NASDAQ right now down by 3.7%. It's the biggest decliner. The S&P is off by 3.3%, and the Dow off by 2 3/4.
I want to get some reaction right now to the President Trump's tariff announcement and so much more. Joining us right now is Senator Dave McCormick from Pennsylvania and Dina Powell McCormick, Vice Chair of BDT and MSD Partners. They are the co-authors of a new book out this week. It is titled, Who Believed in You? How Purposeful Mentorship Changes the World. And we're going to talk a lot about that in just a moment. And I should say that I have known Dina Powell for, 20 years, Dina. I was thinking back to when we first met.
We were 10. We were 10 years old, Andrew.
I don't know about that, but it is great. It is great to see both of you. Before we get into the book and the mentorship issue, which is a huge one, there's obviously a lot of news on the table that we're trying to contend with, trying to understand how this all plays out. Let me go to Dave, the senator, now. What do you make of this? By the way, you've dealt with financial crises. You've dealt with lots of things. You've worked at Bridgewater. What do you make of what these tariffs say right now and what it's going to mean for our economy and your own constituents in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, well, good morning, Andrew, and thanks to all of you for having us on the slow news day to talk about our book. We appreciate it. Listen, I get three quick things I'd say on tariffs. Number one, the tariffs. We've talked about nothing about tariffs for the last month. The tariff chapter is one chapter in a book of economic policies that's going to include deregulation, energy dominance, extension and tax reform, foreign investment in the United States. So it's important, but it's one thing. And those things should give markets a lot of certainty. Second thing is what the tariffs are designed to do is address a fundamental problem of unfairness. And Mike Froman, I just heard him on earlier. The global trading system has brought great benefits, but it's been inherently unfair to the United States in many ways. China, many other countries have not followed those rules, and it's had devastating effects in my home state of Pennsylvania, my hometown. When I was growing up, the carpet mill had 2,000 employees. It has 200 now. So what's happening here is to address unfairness and also bring back a much stronger manufacturing base in the United States. That's the goal. And the third thing is we are in the earliest days of this and still trying to digest it. I'm still trying to digest it. Scott Besson said yesterday, first of all, what the tariffs were is a ceiling. Assuming people don't retaliate. Right. And now there's going to be a series of negotiations that take place. I mean, listen, in my home state, I'm trying to understand the impact of this so I can make sure that the second and third order consequences are addressed. Every country around the world is going to be negotiating this. And the tariff levels, it really is the case. I think Joe just said it. It's not just tariffs. It's non-tariff barriers. It's currency. So this is meant to address some fundamental unfairness. And I think it's too early to pass judgment. I'll say one final word, which is what President Trump has been talking about during the campaign. Everything he's doing, he said, this is about the real economy. So if we can get the real economy where it needs to be through a whole range of policies, that's going to be good. That's going to be good for financial markets.
Well, let me just ask, and maybe both of you can speak to this. And Dina, you spent a lot of time talking to some of the biggest CEOs, global companies around the world. In terms of just the uncertainty that all of this portends for some period of time, irrespective of what you think the final numbers are on the tariffs, how long does that last? And what do you think of this game of chicken that may take place, which is to say there are a lot of CEOs who are having to make some hard decisions about, do they bring manufacturing back to the U.S.? They have to believe that these tariffs are in place not just today, but likely in 5 years from now, given some of the big investments that they're going to have to make and the fact that some of these factories and other things that they would have to build might not actually get online for 3 to 5 years.
Well, I think we've gone from kind of animal spirits, a couple months ago to animal hibernation here, where the uncertainty has frozen people a bit. That's why I started my answer with all the things we should be certain about. Those are all wind in the sails for companies. On the tariffs, I think this is going to play out over time, but there's lots of reasons for people to double down on their investment in the United States. Energy prices, deregulation. This is just one factor, and I think the steady state will be a tariff regime which makes sense for companies to invest in the United States and hopefully creates much more fundamental fairness across our trading partners, which is the goal.
Okay, we will see how this all plays out. Let's talk about the book. Dina, I want to know who believed in you before you believed in you. A lot of what this book is about finding people who are people's mentor and people who gave people confidence when they didn't have any. And frankly, by the way, right now, I think a lot of people could use some.
Well, thank you, Andrew. You know, first of all, this book started out during COVID. As you know, we have 6 daughters between us. And we realized that they had lost so much more than high school proms or graduations. They'd lost 3 years of human connection, which included anybody that believed in them and could show them how to be in the office, how to actually get your first job, give some feedback. And so we started asking people, many people that you guys know well, from Satya Nadella to Steve Schwarzman, Tory Burch, Brian Grazer. And in every single case, somebody had changed their life by believing in them. In my case, as you know, I'm an immigrant from Cairo, Egypt. At 5 years old, my family moved to Dallas, Texas. And growing up, my parents were totally supportive. They would say, listen, we left Egypt so you and your sisters could pursue your dreams as long as you're a lawyer, a doctor, or an engineer. So it was one person that took a chance on me that got me to Washington. Kay Bailey Hutchison, the senator from Texas, said, why don't you defer law school, come to Washington? And honestly, that one person seeing something in me led me to a path where I eventually, as you know, worked for 2 presidents and at Goldman Sachs for 16 years, and now at BDT and MSD. Our hope, Andrew, with this book is that we ignite a new mentoring movement. COVID took a lot away. You just spoke to the fact that people kind of need some confidence. And if you invest in one person, this book really shows you you can change the world.
Hey, Senator, that's true, Dina. That's amazing. But Senator, I don't know who were your biggest mentors. You had mentors in the military, and how important is that? Do you think? I know you recently had the event and the panel at West Point with all the cadets and the dean of the school and Brian Grazer, and it was something. Alex Gorski. But
yeah,
were you more mentored? Do you think is that your formative?
You know, my formative mentor, my first one was a high school football coach, where I grew up in rural Pennsylvania, and my first couple years of high school, I rode the bench for the football team. I'd get in the fourth quarter when we were winning big or losing big, and the coach got fired, and a new coach came in and looked at all the films, and he called me over the summer and said, I think you've got some real potential. And sort of mysteriously to me, at the end of football camp my junior year, made me the co-captain of the team. And I went on to be an all-state linebacker, and that helped me get into West Point. And that guy seeing leadership in me, seeing potential in me, it literally changed my life. And that's that's what we see throughout the book. The book has mentions all these famous people, but it's about the people you've never heard of that help those people be successful. And I saw that tomorrow you're highlighting Satya. And the 50-year anniversary of Microsoft. He's one of the people profiled in the book. And the crazy thing about his story is that one of his mentors, the guy that kind of saw potential and helped him become CEO, was a guy named Doug Burgum, who you've had on this show many times. So it's paying it forward. And the 3 questions we ask everybody to ask is, who believed in you? Have you told them thank you? Because many of the people we talk to wish they would have said thank you. And the final thing is, who are you believing in? Who are you paying it forward to? Who are you helping achieve their purpose?
Okay, and there's a big difference, Andrew, between how to mentor men and women. I just want to take a second on this, especially in the world of finance. Women need a lot more of this kind of mentorship. Mary Erdoes hosted us a couple nights ago, me and Jane Fraser, Jenny Johnson, and Asahi Pompey from Goldman. Over 300 women showed up, kind of thirsting for this kind of feedback. I told a funny story. Jamie Dimon made a cameo appearance there, and I was telling Jamie that Lloyd Blankfein was a very significant mentor to me. And he used to give me pretty tough love, like, stop having such thin skin, look forward, don't look backwards. If you're at these tables, it means you got to make the tough decisions. Not everybody's going to agree with them. Women need those kinds of mentors. He used to say, you might say I'm a mentor, or a tormentor. But the truth is, it really is critical. And we did this study, 2,200 people with the Yale School of Management, that showed mentoring was so important, especially to women in male-dominated industries. And so if you go to whobelievedinu.com, I do really think you will see there is a lot of benefit to the bottom line of your companies to ensure that the next generation is being mentored.
Hey, Dave, you mentioned it in your mentorship story, just the idea that you kind of live up to people's expectations. And I thought Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland, laid it out very nicely in the book, too. He had written a book himself about the other Wes Moore who grew up in Baltimore just like him, nearby, and their paths were so different. He went on to become the governor of Maryland. The other Wes Moore wound up in prison for murder.
It's a great story. Yeah, it's a great story.
The idea of it, you become what people expect you to become.
It's absolutely the case. And, Sarah Huckabee's in there, Wes Moore's in there. The thing about Wes Moore's story, which I love so much, is that his mom, played a huge role in his life. And she knew that he needed male mentors. So she actively recruited. She'd go up to when he got into Valley Forge Academy, he was sort of struggling and got in some trouble. And his mom found a man there, a young African-American man who was succeeding. And she said, "You are going to be my son's mentor." And he was, and he became an important part of Wes's life. So this is bigger than politics. We've gone across industry, entertainment, great successful leaders, and all of them wouldn't be where they are without mentors who believed in them.
Well, Dave and Dina, we want to thank you. Congratulations on the book. It's called Who Believed in You? And we appreciate you coming on such a busy news morning and look forward to seeing you guys in person soon. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
We're not talking about your book. I'm glad we had their book to talk about instead of 1929 today, which is not out yet, right? Your book. This is,
Yeah, speaking of, let's take a look at some chip stocks that are under pressure this morning. Taiwan Semiconductor is off by about 5%. You can see this. We're going to talk to an analyst about the impact of the tariffs, what that's going to mean, whether investors should be buying this dip, whether they think the tariffs are permanent or not. Squawk Box is coming right back.